Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show, and I'm very happy to have Stacie Davies here in our studio. She's the author of A Girl's Rules for Life, and I am very excited about this book. So welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thank you very much.
I've had just a few minutes, earlier today to peruse this, and I've already found a couple of rules that I like quite a little bit. But before we talk about them, let's first talk about why you wrote this.
I wrote this book after going on an adventure with my daughter, who's 15 years old, and a few of her friends. And I was actually somewhat astounded as to what was coming out of these young girls' mouths. And although I'm far from perfect, I was very surprised to hear certain ideas and concepts coming out of 13-year-old girls' mouths. So it just prompted me to write a little book of positive suggestions.
I got to be honest, I think this is not just rules for girls, it's about anybody. There's certainly some that are specific to girls, for sure, but there's some in here that you're like, gosh, I kind of probably wish somebody had said this to me. You know, it's pretty interesting. Maybe I could read a couple.
Absolutely,
right?
Please do.
We'll talk about them a little bit because it's kind of funny. So I found a couple that I particularly like, and let's start with this one. This one is my grandfather used to say something very similar to this. If you can't afford the best, then don't buy it until you can. Buying second-rate and knockoff items are cheaper. They are also often made in overseas sweatshops with child labor. Besides, they're junk and will fall apart. You'll end up buying two and spending more than you would have if you just saved your money a little longer and purchased the real thing in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah, my grandfather used to say this is very similar to that. You'll never be disappointed if you always buy the best.
That is absolutely true.
Yeah, so I like that one. That's particularly good. The one on swearing was pretty interesting too, and I've lost it, so we'll have to talk about that one. But never swear, and well, I shouldn't say never. It said there's a time and a place.
There's a time
right?
and place. I believe that's rule number 13.
Rule number 13.
If I remember correctly.
Is that right? See, you remember them. That's good. You should. Don't swear unless you really mean it. Ladies who curse in their day-to-day vocabulary are not ladies, but rather women who have foul mouths. Swearing has a purpose. Use it wisely. When you're mature and a parent, you may curse, respectively, of course, and never in front of your children.
Exactly.
And I guess that's when it happens, too.
Yeah.
It's like when you've got kids, yeah, that might happen. All right, let's see. There was two more I wanted to read. I love this one. This is very Park City appropriate. You ready? Rule number 184. Never carry your skis over your shoulder in the crowd. This is obvious. Chances are high that you will knock someone in their head. At the very least, you'll piss them off. You may actually hurt them too. If you don't know how to carry your skis vertically by the binding, ask someone who knows for a demonstration before you hurt someone. I love it. This is great. And then I should have mentioned, I think it was Rule 14 about flipping someone off.
Right, especially in a small town.
Yeah, around here that would also be a bad idea because inherently it's going to be somebody you know.
Exactly,
So
or somebody's parent.
Right? Yeah. So that's a good one as well. We get right into the meat here too. Rule number 163. Practice safe sex always. I can't stress this one enough. If you're going to have sex, protect yourself, your health, and your body. Some sexually transmitted diseases like herpes are permanent, as in they never go away. HIV or AIDS is also sexually transmitted, and this one kills you. Just imagine for a minute meeting the partner of your dreams and having to say, oh, by the way, I have herpes.
Exactly.
Yeah, use a condom is cheap. It's easy, cheap, and life-saving.
It certainly is. And all too often, young ladies don't know about those things.
Indeed. This is good. There's some really great advice in here.
Oh, thank you.
This is terrific. You've had rave reviews about it as well.
So far, so good. Yes, I have. There's a story behind almost every rule. So
is that right?
It's a little bit of background information. Yes.
Yeah. How's your daughter feel about all this?
Oh, she's hot and cold.
Yeah. I bet that's a toughie, right? Because she's
a
like,
little bit.
Yeah, when you say as soon as you say that, there's a story, I bet she's like,
oh no, here we go. Yeah.
Great mom. Yeah. We all feel that way about our parents a little bit. But
I think so, yes.
You put it down in paper. Yeah, because that was another rule my grandmother taught me. Can I share a couple of mine?
Absolutely.
You might like. So, yeah, I told you grandpa's. My grandmother should never write anything down that you don't mean.
That's
and that
excellent.
was huge. It didn't seem like important at the time, but when I started thinking about it, and especially as I watched other people do it, yeah, don't write anything you don't mean.
That's absolutely true.
Especially if it's something angry or awful or whatever.
I think you'll find one in there that states not to text things that you feel might come back and get you in the long run.
That's a good, important one for sure. She also said these two, and these are my favorites. She said, girls are like streetcars, another one comes by every 10 minutes.
That's brilliant.
That was a pretty terrific one. And my very, very favorite, it's as easy to marry rich as it is to marry poor.
Oh, that's a good one too.
And there's some truth to that. I mean, obviously, but it's also kind of a valuable thing to think about. Marry somebody who has some values of working hard and setting up a good life. I think is important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I encourage the girls to be makers, not takers.
See, that's
along those
brilliant.
lines.
I like that. This is awesome. I love it.
Thank you.
So you wrote how long have you been working on this?
It took me 1.5 years to compile all the suggestions, yes.
Wow. And did you go out and get them from other family members too, or is this all you?
Well, most of them are actually from my grandmother, my mother, and my dad
So same
throughout life. Yeah, same history.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And talk about those people, how important they are in your life and why why they ended up on paper. My grandmother was extremely articulate and well-read, and she had wonderful ideas about life and living. My father was, we used to call them Tedisms because he had this long list of witticisms, and many of the rules are actually concepts that he used to drill into my head growing up. And my mother was very pristine and proper, and she had a lot of rules and regulations to how to live a clean and healthy life. And so you'll find some of her rules in there as well. Hey, I'm sure you broke some too, right? Everybody does, right?
Yes, in the foreword I talk about how I'm far from perfect and have broken many of the rules myself.
Yes.
But if I can save one young girl from making a bad choice, then I consider the book a success.
I would too. It's difficult to teach people life lessons, though, isn't it? I mean, we typically like to do them ourselves.
Absolutely. And what I found is that a lot of the young girls, and I don't think anybody would disagree with me, they don't listen to their moms.
No.
Or often not their dads either. So maybe if another voice comes in and speaks to them, they'll hear that.
Yeah. Aunts, I know, are good at this.
Oh, aunts are excellent.
Always just step up if you're an aunt.
That's
an important one for sure.
Yeah.
I just, it's remarkable. I think that you took the time to do this. There's what, almost, is there 300 altogether? 287.
287.
Okay.
And a golden rule.
How did you end up on 287?
Well, quite frankly, I ran out of material that I thought was apropos. So I just, no reason to pad it with unnecessary things.
Yeah.
That's just what we came up with.
Wow. That's fascinating. Where are you from?
Originally from the Bay Area. I grew up in a town south of San Francisco, and then I lived in Montana for 20 years.
And now?
And now I'm in Park City.
How about that?
Yeah.
And the community as a whole, your friends, your family, people around you, what have they thought about this? So I'd like to know what that's like to be, published with your friends and family around here.
Well, that's a good question. At first, putting myself out there was a little bit nerve-wracking. A friend of mine said, well, you've just got to get over it. You just have to do it. So I did it, and I've had really positive responses from all ages, from the youth to women my age, other mothers, other dads. It's been a very positive experience thus far.
Probably asked to go and present some of them occasionally, is that?
I hope to present some of them occasionally.
I think that would be terrific, right? Especially, I think in our community, that's a great thing. Come read some of these and talk about them.
Yeah, I think it would be fun to do some question answers, and some of the youth can hear the backstories to some of the rules.
One of my favorite things to do on something like this would just be to flip through and just find what we found. So we're just going to do that.
Sounds good.
Okay, we'll stop right here. 175. Always, always, always send thank you notes. This is a great one. It doesn't matter if someone sent you a silly, cheapo little doodad gift or a Cartier watch. What matters is the fact that they took the time to find it, buy it, and send it to you, which means they are thinking of you. Show them the same respect and send them a nice little thank you note. It takes very little time and it carries a lot of weight. This is so true.
It's a lost art.
It is a lost art, and it's so important. And people don't do it quick enough. That, we always say you've got a while, right? 6 months, 3 months, whatever. But really, you should jump on it like right away.
Honestly,
right away.
If they took the time to get something to you by your birthday or by a holiday, it's just as fair for you to take just a moment to write them a quick little note. And texts really don't count.
That's right. They don't count.
No.
Something that I noticed the other day, and I hadn't done it before, and now I'm grateful I did, was writing a thank you to a coworker. I hadn't thought of that before, but for something they did that was very nice to me, I wrote a thank you note. And you know what? Then I saw that thank you note on their desk, and it's still there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and then I realized the impact.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, wow, maybe I need to do that a little more often.
It really makes a huge impact, and people feel so good when they receive something like that in the mail.
Yeah, indeed. All right, we're going to do one more, and then we'll be out of time, but I want to do this because it's fun. All right, let's see. I love this one. This is one of my favorites. I saw this earlier. Funny that we'd fall on it again. Rule 213. If you're truly injured, seek medical attention. If you're simply hurt, put a Band-Aid on and get going.
And get going, absolutely.
Yeah, don't look for sympathy
no.
for every little thing that happens. Just get back up and get to work.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
I like that. It's just great. It's Girls' Rules for Life from your mother who loves you. I love that. So,
thank you.
Stacie Davis, I want to thank you so very much for being here. This is just a tremendous book. Where can we find it?
It is on Amazon.com.
Amazon.com. That's terrific.
And we'll be up at Dolly's on Sunday for a signing as well.
Will you? All right. Well,
yes,
I encourage people to come by and spend some time with you there and try to find their favorites as well. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. It's a great time. All right. Lots more coming up here on the Mountain Morning Show. After these messages, you know, we have a golden rule too here. Promote the next thing is up, which is a summer fun reader. We'll be back with that right after this.